Hey friends, welcome back to Wild Hearts Homestead. It's a rainy, breezy day down here in Lawrence, South Carolina, but at least the temperatures are warmer so we can be outside and get some stuff done, even if it's under the porch. I would love to chat with you guys today about something that I get asked about a lot. I see this question asked a lot in the homesteading groups, especially by women, moms that have little kids, trying to figure out how to make it all work. As you can see, it's a handful sometimes trying to parent and work and homestead and homeschool and do all of the things that we have to do. So I'd love to talk a little bit about how I make it work while I work on some things I need to get done. Alright, so we put a bunch of broccoli seeds in here because I wasn't sure how well they would germinate. These were from seeds that I saved in the fall, and they did pretty well, as you can see. So now I need to separate all these little seedlings out into their own little cups. I am just doing in here like a 50-50 mix of peat moss and potting mix, or I've used coconut coir too. They work pretty much the same. I really like how it works. It's a lot lighter than just the potting mix, and it works out really well. So I'm just kind of putting some potting soil in here and then putting a hole in the middle for where the seedling is going to go. And I know it's probably weird that I wear gloves, but because I wash my hands so much, my fingers will actually split and bleed because they're so dry. So I will wear gloves sometimes, especially if I'm going to be in and out of dirt a lot, so that I can just take the gloves off. That way I can just take the gloves on and off and not have to constantly be washing my hands and getting them more dried out. So how do I make it work being a single parent with a child with a disability and working and homesteading and homeschooling? How in the world do you make it work? I don't know that it's possible to do it with conventional types of work. The ways that I have made it work are to find unconventional ways of earning an income. So my main job is as a nanny. Right now I am working at my house, so while I'm doing my job, I'm still able to tend to my kids. I'm still able to cook meals. I'll take that child with me and we'll go to our homeschool trips. We will work outside in the garden together sometimes. I try to get the kids involved as much as possible in like the capacity that they would like to be involved in the garden and things they can do. Just like I do with my own kids, I try to get them involved as much as possible. I think it's great for them. It's good for their self-confidence. And kids love to play in the dirt. My kids love to be all up in, well, my daughter loves to be all up in everything that I am doing and be involved and be a part of it. I hardly ever go anywhere without my shadow. So unconventional jobs are my first one. My second job that I work is kind of a work from home job. I do go in and work childcare. It's mostly work from home. I do have to go in occasionally, but my kids can come with me while I work that job. Now, because my kids are with me when I'm working, it is a lower wage than I would make probably if I was working without my kids with me. With my field of work, I'm not going to make enough to pay somebody to watch my kids full time so that I can go to work. So I've had to get really creative with my jobs that I do. I have a few side jobs that I try to do here or there, and they're kind of some of them are consistent, some of them are not consistent kinds of income. I like to have multiple streams of income coming from different places just in case something happens with one of them that I'm not completely stranded and have no income at all. But these jobs do give me the flexibility to be able to take my kids to therapies, doctor's appointments, homeschool events, and still be able to make an income. And also get the farm chores done. So there are 8 broccoli seedlings in here. I've got 8 little pots over here to split it into. We're just going to dump the whole thing out. And I'm going to very gently, you need eyes, wiggle these seedlings out. And pop them into these trays. again, I will reuse this potting soil because I'm trying to save money. I will make my own compost. It is sometimes just very labor intensive, and it can be difficult to get that done when we have a bunch of planting. So I'm trying to figure out a way that I can like get my compost sifted and store it. I'm thinking maybe if I reuse these bags, I can like get the compost sifted in the off months and then store it so that when we're ready to do like a big batch of planting, then I have compost ready to go. Yes, ma'am. Do you want carrots? Oops, did I have an extra one in here? I might have 9 seedlings in here. Yeah, look at that. They're growing. Alright, so let me get a pot for this last little one here. Hold on. Usually when I transplant stuff, I like to try to keep them in the shade for a day or two while they are reestablishing, because taking them apart and then putting them back into another pot can be very difficult for the seedlings. Because I'm able to work a lot at home, that means that if an issue arises, I'm here to take care of it a lot of times, and I can take care of the animals and work on things as they come up throughout the day as I need to. I've had to make sure our animals are really flexible with their scheduling, or set with things up in such a way that our system can be flexible for us. So when our lambs come in May, I'm planning on doing the lamb sharing, where I can decide not to separate them if I don't have time to milk in the morning, and then that day of the week they will milk the ewes for me. The lambs will just drink the milk. I won't have to go out and milk. And then that gives us some flexibility with my work schedule being kind of all over the place, that if I need to, I won't have to be there for milking every single morning. Now, with all of that, we do still have to be extremely frugal. We don't go out to eat. We cook everything from scratch at home, somewhat due to food allergies and somewhat just due to expense. Okay, mommy's trying to do something, please. Can you please give me a minute? Okay, go play for a minute. Go play. A lot of times when I'm doing a project, I am not buying brand new materials, or I'm buying the absolute least possible amount of brand new materials. I'm using scrap wood, I'm using stuff that was going to get thrown out, and trying to source things free or trading, so that that will save us expenses as well. One of the great things about nannying is that my kids get playmates, and I get to bring our bonus kids along with us to homeschool events. We get to go to play groups, we get to hang out, we get to do awesome fun things, and still make an income. As my son has gotten older, it has gotten harder to find families that are willing to work with the flexibility that we need to be able to accommodate him, because it's very difficult to just take him into somebody's house. So finding families that will let me work at my house. Uh-oh, are you stuck? Hey, are you stuck? Hey. So finding families that will let me work from my home to care for their child is the key. With work from home jobs being much more available now, I feel like this is a much more realistic thing that you can try to do and be able to homestead. Because if you're gone all day and you have little kids, it's going to be hard to do that work outside the home and then come home and have chores and cooking and all of the kid needs on top of it. It can be done, it just might be very hard for a season while you're trying to make that transition. Some other jobs that I have heard from talking to other people that work well with this kind of flexibility are cleaning houses or bookkeeping jobs from home. Don't get me wrong, our budget is super tight. We don't have a lot to do projects or extras or fixing stuff. But every little bit helps. There are times when I think maybe I should just go back to living in an apartment and not be dealing with all of this. But I don't know how we would make it if we didn't have the gardens and the chickens and the sheep feeding us. I can promise you my house is pretty much always a disaster too, especially when there's a lot of stuff to do in the garden or the harvest is coming in and I'm trying really hard to make sure that we get it all processed so it doesn't go bad. There are some things that you just can't keep on top of everything all at the same time, and so you have to kind of choose what are your priorities top to bottom and see what you can get done, and the rest of it will get done eventually or not at all, and that's okay. Now our broccoli seedlings have enough room to grow, and I have like 2 or 3 more cups like this that I need to separate out. Okay, you ready? Okay. Let me know how you make it work. Homesteading, taking care of little kids, working a job. What are some ways that you have found that work for you? I would love to hear about it. Okay, ready to say bye?
Bye.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll see you next time.